It's been a pretty busy week as we get into the grind once again for Season of the Drifter. How are you guys getting on, man? Let me know in the comment section. Are you enjoying it so far? Have you been jumping back into D2 this week? I'd love to hear how you're getting on. But today we do have some new stuff to round up. Bungie have responded to some of the issues in Season 6 so far, and they're going to be dropping an update next week. And yes, it looks like powerful rewards are kind of broken at the moment. So we'll talk about what's going on with that in just a second. We'll also talk about Quest Day coming up next Tuesday. And there are some hidden areas maybe worth knowing for the upcoming exotic quest. I also wanted to talk about Reckoning Tier 2, a couple of tips for that, how the loot works. We've got new details on how to get specific Gambit Prime weapons, and some other collectibles and rewards in the game. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, a rating below very much helps me out. But now let's get right into it. First up, we're going to cover the update from Bungie. Of course, there's been a lot of conversation about powerful rewards this week, and Bungie have said, as a follow-up to reports of powerful rewards dropping at lower power than expected, we wanted to catch up on the current topics, and they also give us some details of upcoming changes. So they say they are investigating reports of powerful sources granting +0 power rewards, which of course isn't too good, is it? And I think there's an issue where daily bounties being carried over from the last season that contribute to weekly bounties could actually be affecting this. However, there is a much more widespread issue where a lot of power drops are dropping at +1 power when they should potentially be dropping higher. So, Bungie say we expected players to hit the minimum reward power bumps at 690 power, but they've been hitting it at 650 instead. So basically what this means, if you remember from previous seasons, the last kind of 10 power levels that you clear take a little bit longer than all of the ones that come before it, and essentially for the entire of Season 6 so far, it looks like a lot of powerful rewards are dropping under those conditions. So Prime engrams are giving really good boosts, but other milestones in particular are not. So Bungie say they do have a fix ready for the issue, and they're working to ship this hotfix after next week's update. They also say that they did adjust some powerful rewards based on the fact that we now have more drop sources for powerful gear, but that's actually something that wasn't really covered in the patch notes. So on Tuesday, there's going to be an update, 2.2.1, and then shortly after that, they'll drop that powerful gear hotfix. But Tuesday's update should fix the issue where certain powerful rewards were resetting on Sundays instead of on Tuesdays, and that's the bug that's stopping some of you guys from being able to clear powerful rewards on bounties because it says they've already been completed. That will be fixed next week. A problem where malfeasance and breakneck quests were not progressing in Gambit and Gambit Prime properly, an issue with the Orbs of Light for the Oxygen SR3 Pinnacle Weapon quest, and a couple of other Gambit related things. So I'll keep you guys posted on patch notes, any changes that they bring into the game, but in terms of power level and stuff, issues should be resolved as of next week. On top of this, Cosmo said they're looking into the issue with the Nightfall modifier card, and until that gets a fix, players will actually need to move to a 100 power change before the modifier will be affected. So some of that power level stuff is a little bit frustrating, but it should be resolved soon nonetheless. Of course, on Tuesday, though, we're getting Quest Day. So basically, after this update drops, we're going to have 3 different quests available pretty much all at the same time. Of course, we'll get the Thorn, as well as the Allegiance quest, which actually consists of 2 different quests depending on who you choose. I'm curious, which one are you guys going to go for first? Will you jump in and try and grind out the Thorn, or are you going to check out the Vanguard or the Drifter Allegiance stuff first? Of course, we don't know exactly what the rewards are going to be for the Vanguard or Drifter quest. However, quick spoiler alert, this could possibly be something worth knowing for the Thorn quest. Bungie actually teased that a mysterious spot in the European Dead Zone will hold a clue, and if we seek it out, we'll be able to begin the quest for the Thorn. Curiously, there is a new area near the salt mines in the European Dead Zone. So if you head into the salt mines north of Trostland right here, and then use the Transmap beacon, of course it will spawn you to the top of the hill in the European Dead Zone. If you go all the way up to the top, and then head to the left right here, there is actually a secret passageway that'll lead you up to a camp, and this is a new area added in the recent update. So we're not sure whether the quest will prompt us to go here, or whether we'll actually have to find a secret, but definitely bear this area in mind. On top of this though, some of the banners in the farm have been changed up a little bit. And under the barn in the farm, previously, this staircase right here at the very bottom was kind of blocked off, and NPCs will spawn in here and then walk out. However, now, you can actually go in and go all the way under the building above. So another area that seems to have opened up, and once again, it could be linked to upcoming quests, but both the European Dead Zone and the farm will actually feature into the Thorn quest. So pretty interesting stuff. Another shout for the Thorn quest would be to save some planetary bounties. There are different stages to gather materials: gather Hadronic Essence by completing bounties for Ashramir on Io, Pastel Plating by completing bounties for Sloan on Titan, and Sapphire Wire by completing bounties for Anna Bray on Mars. It could be worth completing some of these and holding onto them, although we can't absolutely guarantee they will drop these items. My guess is that they probably will, just something worth thinking about if you did want to do any prep. Moving on though, let's speak about Reckoning Tier 2. So this one came out just yesterday, And in terms of how it works, essentially, you'll spawn into the first room that was featured in Tier 1. Here there'll be a bunch of ads. Of course, here you have to make kills against the timer, and when you reach 100%, instead of having a boss fight, it'll actually open up the next section of the Reckoning. And from here, pretty much, you have to just push up along the bridge. There are 6 different sections that you have to capture. So the first one right here, there aren't too many ads. You'll just have thralls spawning at the very bottom. But as you move up, you get more and more ads, and it gets pretty intense. There are a lot of snipers off in the distance, as well as thrall, major knights and stuff like that spawning in. I believe that team right here were running a Well of Radiance. I was dropping a defender bubble just to defend kind of against the ads because we're not at an optimal power level for this just yet. We were also running Tether, so I was generating a ton of orbs, and then things like Nova Bomb for damage, and we really were just farming supers in order to get all the way across the bridge. Of course, definitely pay attention to the modifiers that are up, these change every day. Once you've captured the 6th plate, there will actually be a portal that spawns at the very top. Once you head in here, you'll be in the final boss area for Reckoning Tier 2. But in the final boss room, you'll need to defeat hermits, and they'll drop kind of a light orb where you take them down that'll give you a pretty huge damage buff, and you use that to kill the giant sword knights. At this power level, the knights are pretty annoying because they do tend to teleport, and they'll actually spawn pretty close to you, but if you can keep your distance and do damage, they're not too difficult to take out. In terms of the rewards for Reckoning Tier 2 though, of course you can now get the Tier 2 armor. You'll still need synths and motes for that, but on top of this it appears that some of the weapons from Gambit Prime also actually drop in the Tier 2 when you complete it. Talk more about the loot in just a second. There are a couple more golden eggs that you can collect in here as well. The first one is in the very first room as you approach the Tier 2 bridge. So once you've cleared the ads, you get into this big kind of square room. On the left hand side you'll find a new egg right here. And then the very final egg for the Dust to Lore book is located in the final boss room. You'll see it's on one of these pillars. This was actually found by Searing Pain, who posted a clip to Reddit. But these are the final collectibles. I did make a video yesterday that shows the location of the other ones. But when it comes to loot and what's going to happen with Tier 3, interestingly, the Tier 3 armor can actually roll with enhanced perks, so that's definitely good. The current weekly bounty that you can get from the Drifter will offer a synth upgrade. Of course, you get the blue synth, and this will create middling motes, and these are for the Tier 2 pieces of armor. You'll have to put these in when you start Tier 2 to get those dropped. If you do the synth upgrade this week, then next week the bounty will offer yet another synth upgrade. So we have the blue variant now, and next week we'll get the legendary variant, and presumably that one will require 3 synths to create 1 legendary mote. And that'll be the highest tier that'll be linked to Reckoning Tier 3. So that's kind of how all of that stuff works. Personally, I'm just saving a ton of synths for when Tier 3 drops. I think the idea that Bungie had is to offer different levels, so maybe if you don't play absolutely tons of the stuff, you could just pick up, Tier 1 or Tier 2 stuff. It is, however, good that some of the Prime weapons are also dropping from the Reckoning. However, the weapons that you can get from Gambit Prime are definitely linked to certain actions, and Pigeon over on Reddit started to compile where some of these weapons come from. So for the Prime Sniper Rifle, it is actually linked to invasion kills. So anytime you're making pretty much any amount of invasion kills, you do have a chance to get this dropped. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but just like the synths, they do actually proc on specific actions. For the hand cannon, a lot of folks have been getting this if they bank 50 motes in a single Gambit Prime match. So that's pretty interesting. When it comes to the SMG, it's definitely linked to high-value targets. A lot of players have reported this one. Whenever you're killing high-value targets, getting any medals associated with that, you have the opportunity to get this weapon dropped. And this was the first weapon that I got. It looks like the shotgun can drop by killing blockers and invaders. And then for the sidearm and the scout rifle, both have been reported dropping from Tier 2 Reckoning, a couple of the weapons we just spoke about. And on top of this, there are a couple of other Prime weapons. I haven't seen anyone mention any specific ways that they've noticed those dropping yet, so if you have had anything like the pulse rifle, maybe the auto rifle, let us know if you can remember how that one dropped. So pretty cool that there is some kind of level of reliability to getting these weapons dropped, although it is very much RNG. The good thing, however, is that they do drop from multiple sources: Reckoning, Gambit Prime, the bounties, so hopefully it won't be too bad to pick up the full set. If you're looking for a PvP weapon specifically, you may have heard some folks talking about Service Revolver recently. Now this is a featured weapon for the Vanguard this season. I haven't managed to pick it up myself. I believe it requires you to complete 40 strikes or something like that. There's a triumph associated with it. But it's actually a pretty beastly weapon. It's in the same archetype as Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. The good thing about it is you can roll stuff like Rampage, Kill Clip, and a whole bunch of different bonuses. And particularly with something like Kill Clip, essentially you can match the time to kill of Luna's or Not Forgotten. As well as this though, if you roll the right bonuses, so if you get Rangefinder in the first slot, Accurized rounds or Ricochet rounds, and then especially with a Range Masterwork, you're actually gonna get the same amount of range that you can get with Not Forgotten. The other crazy thing is that this one would also still have more stability than Not Forgotten at that point. So if you're looking for something new to play around with, or maybe you didn't pick up Luna's Howl, this will be a very viable alternative. Of course, it doesn't come with the Magnificent Howl perk, but otherwise this is as close as you're gonna get, so definitely don't sleep on it. The final thing I wanted to talk about right here would just be a general kind of look at Season 6. Although primarily I'd be curious to hear opinions from you guys, because I do kind of want to talk about Season 6 and review it at some point, and generally get a sense of how the community is feeling, Because of course, this content drop, as a lot of us kind of knew, is very Gambit focused, and that's not everyone's favorite thing to do. There are other things in Season 6, of course, but you know, going from Warmind to Forsaken, even to Black Armory, and then now on to Season of the Drifter, there are definitely more mixed opinions right now, and more players that are kind of tapping out of the game potentially. So I'd just be curious to get a sense of how you guys feel in general, what you like about this drop, what you don't like, or indeed if you've actually kind of moved away from Destiny at the moment. It'd definitely be useful to get some of your feedback. But guys, for now, that is going to summarize the video, so let me know your thoughts below. But if you've enjoyed this one, a rating is very much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe if you want to see more Destiny content. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in as always, and I will catch you guys very soon.